That's the hard part about going into retirement, because you're so used to getting like 4,500. You don't have any experience, but then you expect to have the same salary based on your sports achievements.
Welcome to the Pursuit of Progress. I'm Lenora Lowe, and I've had my fair share of transitions in my life. Once upon a time, from brand planner to radio announcer, MC, content creator, and now the new thing in my life, motherhood. I'm sure everyone has gone to some form of transition too. Through it all, I've been fascinated of how people grow and adapt. And that's what inspired me to start this podcast. Now, the Pursuit of Progress is about embracing change, pushing limits, and learning from those who have walked different paths, which is why we've got different guests coming onto the show, and hopefully you're going to learn a thing or two from them, as am I. So I hope everyone is ready to pop. The Pursuit of Progress. Let's dive into it. Today, I'm joined by my first guest on the first episode. I'm really excited because once upon a time, I used to watch her, when growing up bowling. I couldn't think of a better guest. She is a multiple-time SEA Games gold medalist, a former world champion, and the first Malaysian inducted into the International Bowling Hall of Fame. With over 2 decades of dominance on the lanes, please welcome a friend of mine that I met in Pilates, Dr. Shalin Zulkifli. I want to say there's going to be
Thank you, Lenora.
Yeah, should we put clapping sounds? Yeah, I would do that. Yeah. Girl, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you for the invitation. Yeah.
Can we just dive straight into it, right?
Sure.
Can you give us a glimpse of what was it like growing up as little Shalin Zulkifli? What were you like?
Well, I was looking back now, I think over 40 years, I'm kind of amazed at how very goal-oriented and serious I was at such a young age, because I started bowling when I was 9. I was always into sports, as everybody knows, from my articles and things like that. So I started bowling at 9, and then I started going seriously into bowling at 10. And then when I was 13, I started representing the country. But during that whole 4-year process, before I got selected to represent the country, in the junior team and also the adults team, I was bowling every day. I was normally at that time, we don't have the kind of training that the athletes go through now, which is now they go through 5 days a week, and you have gym 3 sessions a week and so on. At that moment in time, it was just part-time. So we only had 3 sessions a week, and then gym is not compulsory, it's up to you and things like that. So from being somewhat a semi-professional to actually doing that so early on in my career. That's why now when I look back, it's wow, how was I normally when you're 10 and things you just want to play and you're not so focused on
I gotta ask them that question. Yeah. I'm coming to that as a question.
So when I was 9, looking back, I'm okay, how was I so focused in just being so single-minded, in just trying to achieve my dream and bowling 5-6 days a week, and certain days I'll bowl 2 sessions after my training and so on. So life has always been busy for me ever since I was 9 until now. So whenever I have idle time, I feel kind of weird.
You're a workaholic, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Workaholic and perfectionist. So because you're just so used to that fast-paced life. So when I was 9, I was bowling, and then I was doing other sports as well at school. And then I would at that time my parents were working, so they didn't have time to send me everywhere. So I just take the normal bus since I was 10. When I was 12, then my dad sat me down and we had a talk. Okay, for athletics, I don't think it's going to be easy for you because you're vertically challenged.
They actually said that you're
my dad, me, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a known fact because both of my parents are also vertically challenged.
Okay.
And then we said, okay, so maybe a skill sport. So there was only a few skill sports at that time. And he was actually bowling with my mom. They started bowling at that time, so we said, oh, why not try bowling? So tried it and liked it, and kind of like really fell in love with the sport, and just continued from then onwards, and like never looked back. Yeah.
So coming to that question of, you said that at 10 years old, you were already so focused.
Yeah.
Do you have a recollection of what made you so goal oriented? Like, was it something your parents encouraged, or you saw something?
I think a little bit of everything. Because my parents were always like, okay, you know, you have to set a goal, whatever you want to do, make sure you find your passion and things like that. But I think naturally I was just a very competitive person. So the first ball I threw was in the gutter.
Okay.
So it really irritated me. I was like, why? Because I played all different sports, you know.
And everything was fine except this
It was
one.
okay. Well, I wasn't like the best athlete, but I could play all different sports. But I was more good at sports where I was in control of the movement instead of reaction sports.
Okay.
I'm a bit slow in that. So I was like, why did he go into the gutter and things like that? So I was like, then I kept bowling until, you know, the ball didn't stop going into the gutter and things like that. So I was just like, at that time probably we didn't have social media or anything like that, like
Right.
what we have now. So a lot of distractions. So I was just like, and I joined sports. So that kind of helped. And I just started competing early with my peers and also some of my seniors. And I just enjoyed the competition and just enjoyed having like school, like activities in school, sports, different sports in school, and actually going back and like training after school. I would go straight to the bowling alley. I would even go home, go straight to bowling alley, and then train, and then wait for my parents there, and then just finish my homework there, and then would have dinner there, and then they would bowl. I would just watch, and then we would go back home after that.
Bowling was pretty much your entire life.
Yes,
That.
it was always about creating history.
For you,
for
that
me.
was the intention that you had every time.
Yeah, me and my dad. So he said, you must make, if you're going to be involved in something, you must be the best, and and set up a pathway for other girls or other bowlers that are young as well, that want to be in the team. Because at that time that mentality was like, okay, you have to be like, certain age to be in the national team. So I was like, I kind of broke all the barriers, like, oh, you're 14 and you're like in the team. When I was 15 was my first SEA Games in Singapore, and I won, I think 2 or 3 golds, and 2 or 3 silvers. So that kind of like set me up. And like even before, when I was like younger, nobody would shout, nobody was aggressive when they bowl. No,
When they
at
celebrate?
that time, the bowlers were not expressive.
Oh, but you were.
I was the one. So a lot of my seniors like, oh, who's this girl? Like, why is she like shouting? But now if you go to all the junior tournaments, it's a norm. So the kids will like shout and like, be expressive. That's how it progressed, and that's how I kind of like broke some barriers while I was still 14 until when I was in the team like for 30 years.
Wow. Okay, when you mentioned quite a fair bit that you hate losing.
Yes, I hate losing. I would look at every single thing, that mistakes that I make, whether I like miss a spare, or how many shots did I hit the target or in the pocket and things like that. And I will analyze it, and I'm like, okay, in the next training session, I must make sure I don't do that again and things like that. And like during the training session as well, like whenever I got a list of skills that the coach would give me on Monday, I would bowl and train after training on Monday itself, and then on Tuesday, so that I want to make sure that I'm able to at least get like 60 or 70% by the next training session.
Which is Wednesday.
Yeah, which is Wednesday.
My gosh, you're really a perfectionist.
So like looking back, I'm like, how was I able to like actually like think that at that age? Boy, most of the kids now, even because I coach as well, so I mentor kids. So most of the kids now don't have that same drive. So I don't know whether it's just me being me, or just me hating to lose. Probably.
Yeah, that's where I'm still trying to get to that
Probably,
part of
yeah, because
why is it you hate losing so much?
I just want to be like, because my dad was like, yeah, if you're second, yeah, it's okay, but you're still the first loser kind of thing. That's why I said my dad just knows what button to push, because he knows I'll get irritated by it. So I'm like, I'm gonna just zone in and like train harder and then make sure I improve myself so that the next time I don't lose that way.
Well, I mean, like after working with you very briefly for the first time actually last year, I can see that. I mean, like you were so meticulous on our rehearsals and whatnot, just sharing that we actually had a time where I got to MC for you last year. So like, you said that the focus part, your mental game is stronger than most of your peers. So like for anyone who is trying to get their focus back or to improve their focus, what do you think would be a good way to start?
The difference between somebody who's like, whether in your top 10 percentile of athletes, like the iconic athletes, Malaysian athletes, like Dato' Azizo, Dato' Nicole, me, and so on, is I think we focus a lot on the details compared to other athletes who are good as well, but then they just are not able to break into that top 10 percentile of athletes in Malaysia or in the world. It's because, like for me, for example, if I'll break my goals down to like minute goals that I can achieve.
Oh wow!
So
it's
that
like reverse goal
yes,
setting.
reverse goal setting. So yes, I want to represent the country when I get to 14 years old for Malaysia. So what do I need to do? I have to become a national champion. So how do I do that? I have to like win in the junior circuit and things like that, get spotted or SUKMA. Then I'll get picked into the national team. So that's how I work. It became easier for me to reach the bigger goal because subconsciously when you have smaller goals and you reach them, you'll be good, whether you like it or you realize it or not. So it kind of just came with the flow of like everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask, like transitioning, right? From athlete and then now as a wife.
Yeah.
And then motherhood. What was that transition like?
For me, it was fun. So it was hard at first when I got married. After you get married, you're gonna stop being an athlete.
They said that.
Yeah. It's a normal our Asian culture probably. So then when I was a mom, it was like okay, normal. Normally the culture is like okay, once you are a mom, you have kids, you stop being an athlete because you work and all those things. So for me, I was like, no, why should I still am good. I still can contribute for the country. And I don't see that as a hindrance or a stumbling block for me. But I just need to make sure that everybody is on the same page as me. So I was quite lucky to have a very good support system because he knows he's an athlete as well. So he knows, okay, we would support each other.
Okay.
Yeah. But the transition, it's once you're a parent, it's like organized chaos. But you just have to go with the flow.
I'm trying to understand that organized chaos and yet it's a flow.
Yeah, because you can't be like, okay, get riled up over small things. It's like, okay, this one doesn't work. Okay, fine. Let's do something else. So just like, just adapt. Adapt. Yeah.
From transitioning, athlete, wife, motherhood, and then now you're retired, right?
Yeah.
From the national team.
From the national team, but
you're still bowling.
Yeah, I still
okay,
bowl.
so technically you're not fully retired lah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay, but either way, your life has now gone to a different chapter, which brings me to you are now working for MSN basically.
Yes.
Which is okay for anyone who's watching. Like we are both wearing the jackets that she gave me. We twinning, okay?
Yeah, twinning.
So maybe you want to tell like what do you do in MSN and what's the department?
So I'm actually the head of the Malaysian Athletes Career and Education, MACE, in MSN, National Sports Council of Malaysia, where we are actually taking care of the athletes' welfare. So it started in 2006, but at that time it was just a unit, athletes' welfare unit in NSC. So in 2019, it became a full-fledged secretariat on its own. So we have about like 10 or 11 staff in MACE. So we help athletes in terms of education, if they want to continue their studies or even their studies. For example, they're from out of town, out of state. So they have to come to KL and be trained in Bukit Jalil together with all the other national teams. So we process their school transfers. We help them to get into universities, whether it's a local university or private university, or right now we kind of branch out to international as well. And then we also help them with scholarship applications. If they want to defer their classes in university, we handle that process with the university and their lecturers. That's in terms of education. In terms of career, we help them in their transition, like what I went through.
Yeah, I want to talk about that actually.
Transition. So teach them, how they should prepare for life after retirement if they want to go into the workforce.
These are for any athletes or specifically national?
These are for national athletes in the National Sports Council program, our high performance athletes. And then we help them, we do courses like public speaking for them, or like Microsoft skill, Microsoft Office, or PowerPoint, how to present.
Things that you will actually get usually, like you will learn maybe in school or something
because,
like that.
Because not all athletes go into university.
What's it like for an athlete in Malaysia? Do they still study like how you did, or?
Yes, now I'm very happy that a lot of our athletes are doing dual career, like they are student athletes. Before it wasn't that way. Before it's mostly like, okay, either you're a student or you're an athlete. You can't be both. But now, as the time progress and changes happen, they are more to, okay, I need to be, because now even if you're an athlete, you have to be an educated athlete, you have to be a thinking athlete, so you can't just be just all brawn and no brains.
Is that what it was like before?
Yes.
And what a lot of people think an athlete is?
It's like still, you just do it for fun, sports is can't get you a steady income and things like that. But now you see everything's changed. We have more professionals, and sports open up a lot of different careers for athletes as well. You can be an MC, commentator, sports newscaster, and things like that. So we help them in their transition.
When you're an athlete, and even though it is different, but do they automatically think that the salary is going to remain the same?
Yes, which is not. Because you have to realize that when your salary, when you're an athlete, is based on your achievements as an athlete. But when you go into coaching, you are judged on your coaching achievements, which they do not have any yet. But since last year, we've made some improvements because some of our coaches are national athletes. So they are able to carry a certain part of their success. So they have like an extra allowance. If you're world champion, you get like 1,000 or 2,000 extra if you become a national coach, which is the improvement that we've made from the national coaching program. So we help them, prepare them for if they want to become a coach. So at least they already, once they retire, they already are able to get like a decent salary, like maybe like 3,000 as a start compared to 1,008 or 2,000.
I was gonna ask, maybe a sensitive thing, but please be real with me. Like, usually how much can an athlete make in Malaysia? A ballpark figure.
I mean, if you're an Olympian, you get 7,500 and above.
A month?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Which is quite a lot.
Yes.
We are paid really well compared to some other countries because everything else is paid for. Food, accommodation, if you stay in the National Sports Council, competition, allowances during competition, everything is paid for. Plus you get a salary.
What if you're not an Olympian?
Okay, Asian Games medalist or Commonwealth, you get 4,500. If you're SEA Games medalist, you get 2,500. So if you're a student, you get like 500 to 800. But now it's gone up as well. So minimum you get is like 1,800. That's the hard part about going into retirement, because they're so used to getting like 4,500, which is at the managerial level if you go outside, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But when you go out into the working environment, you don't have any experience, but then you expect to have the same salary based on your sports achievements. A lot of companies want to hire athletes because we have a lot of the good qualities that sports give us, like punctual, motivated, and things like that. But because you don't have any work experience, so you go in there, you don't know, you're not good at a lot of different things. Probably you're not good at presentation, you're not good at this, you don't have experience in presenting to the board and things like that. So those are the things they need to learn. So we try and get them to learn that while they're still an athlete.
Okay.
So that when you decide to retire, the transition, you will still go through that transition and learning process, but we try and shorten it. Because I think the IOC did a survey before. They said athletes, once they retire, the first 2 years after retirement, they go through depression because we lose a sense of self. We lose our identity, like you're so used to training and the regimented schedule and things like that. But then once you retire, I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? I've never really thought about, because we're so used to being in the present that we don't really think about the future. If you're an athlete, you just focus on what you're doing now. You don't think about like I said, don't think about the results, think about the process. But then you forget that once you retire, you have to have the same. You can bring the same recipe or the same things that you do when you're an athlete to your retirement. You have to prepare the same way. So I tell a lot of the other athletes, I share with them, because sometimes it's too overwhelming for them to think of, I have to go to this course, I have to go to that course. But to me, it's okay. You can just do maybe 1 hour a day at first. If you're not
baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. So those are also steps in improving yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have to have this certificate, that degree, and things like that. But you have to be smart and you have to know. And even for me, after graduating from with my degree in sports science, I thought I would become a coach. But then one of the things I told myself, what? Because at that moment in time, a lot of coaches did not get paid well. If I want to become a coach, I want to be overqualified for the job. So they have to pay me the same salary as a foreign coach.
Can I ask, why would they do that? Is it because, with all your achievements and everything, and you're a smart cookie, so why would they want to pay more to international when national is...
Because, for example, not necessarily if you're a great athlete, you can become a good coach. It's totally different things, because once if you're an athlete, you just focus on yourself and your achievements and what you have to do. If you're a coach, you have to focus on the whole team.
Yes.
And that whole individual. So sometimes it's too much to handle if you're not used to it, because you have to think of the bigger picture, not only you. So I actually dabbled into coaching even before I retired. So I went and coached our syok.my, consultant for our syok.my team, to have baby steps. And then because I know that by the time if I retire, I've already had coaching syok.my in my resume and coaching all this other stuff. So when I start, they can't pay me low. They have to pay me, plus I have my degree and things like that. So they have to pay me slightly higher than what probably they would pay a fresh coach. But then after I graduated, I'm like, because I tried coaching early, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I can become a coach, but it didn't really give me the fulfillment that I thought I would get. So I started going into also management, sports management, administrative in a sports association, state level and then national level. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of nice, but because there's a lot as an athlete, you get different perspectives. Like when you're just an athlete, you just think about yourself. You're kind of selfish.
Yes, I've heard that many times.
So when you are a coach, you have to think about a bigger number of people. And then when you become sports administrator, it gets bigger and bigger. So when I became a sports administrator, I'm like, oh, okay, this is nice, but a lot of my teammates are coaches. So if you want to change the whole ecosystem, improve the whole sports ecosystem, we have to be able to contribute in different areas. So if every national athlete become coaches, you still won't have sports administrators and the other part, or sports scientists or physio and things like that.
In other words, you need to broaden the horizon.
Yes, you have to broaden your horizon. So because I tried everything early, so I'm like, okay, I've done this, done that, so maybe I can do something else. So then I was always the outspoken one in my team and when I was an athlete. So I was like, okay. Then I found out towards the end, I'm into athletes welfare. I like helping other athletes speak up and things like that.
Now that is beyond the scoreboard already.
Yeah.
You could always see the strikes, that as your scoreboard. But now, how do you measure progress and success in your daily life?
I have this thing where it's like, okay, yes, even when I coach, I'm like, yeah, you're successful. But then as a coach, for me, it's more important for me to shape a athlete to be a good athlete in terms of their attitude and everything else, instead of just being a champion athlete. Because I think winning championships and everything is great, but if you don't have the right attitude, they have the right mindset and everything else, you won't be successful in life.
I love that.
Yeah.
I actually have one more question, but we got to keep it really short. Okay, it's more of like a fun, quick one.
Okay.
Okay, if you can summarize it. What scares you more, failure or success?
That's kind of hard. A bit of both. Success sometimes gets to your head, so you always need to have your feet on the ground as well. Be confident, but be humble. Failure is because sometimes it's not that easy to come back from failure. Swallowing your pride and your ego when you need to, it's not that easy, but it's an ongoing process. So,
You got to pick one. To pick one.
failure, probably knowing myself.
Okay, because of the loss, right? That the whole personality.
Yeah.
Okay, Shalin, thank you so much for
You're
joining
welcome.
me on the very first podcast. It was very eye opening in the life of an athlete that you transitioned through so many things.
Yes.
And I really hope whoever that is listening and watching, you also pick up some things right here, and your mind just went pop. Pursuit of progress. See you in the next episode.